Marty, I know you're the greatest barber in the history of barbers, but where are you? Do I have to cut my own real hair myself? This is going to be tight, but I'm looking after you. Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and we're going to cut some corruption out of this town we call Chicago.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. All of our videos are on YouTube, and they're being very heavily watched right now before the mayoral aldermanic elections. Go to ntnm.org, communitypolicingcaps24.org. A lot of you don't realize that this is actually my dining room. It looks like a real professional set, and thanks to Sonny Hirsch. He really does a beautiful job of disguising the mess I've got here, at least for TV purposes, during our shoots. I'd like to introduce you to one of the major candidates running for mayor in Chicago, and somebody who's been on the show before. And I'd like to welcome all of you to presently the second ward alderman, and who knows, maybe the next mayor of the city of Chicago, Bob Fioretti. How you doing?
Thank you. We'll be the next mayor. So good. Thank you. Good to be here.
Thank you very much, and definitely want to wish you luck along those lines. So, why did you decide to run for mayor?
Well, I'm running for mayor because I love this city. I think it's a great city. But, you know, wherever I go throughout the city, throughout my ward, throughout any area of this city, I hear people saying the same thing. They say, you know, we need a mayor to represent us. We need a mayor who's willing to fight for us. And you'd be the kind of person that I would want to have as a mayor. I've heard that over and over again. And with that kind of a backing in every neighborhood, in every community, I said, you know, we will run for mayor, and we will be on the fifth floor.
Well, right now there's a 35% approval rate in sinking for our present mayor. And yeah, he's not even a Chicagoan. I mean, it's amazing to me.
I know, I know. And I think sometimes in fact, sometimes I know he turns his back on many of the communities that we have. The closing of the 50 schools really demonstrated that, and the problems that were created by that. And so I think we need new leadership. We need visionary leadership. We're in a time of crisis here in this city. We lack vision. We lack hope. People need an alternative, and I'm the alternative in terms of what we need to do here in this city.
Well, you know, you've certainly got a very good record and a record of independence, and you are not just a real Chicagoan, but you're actually aware of things that go on within the city. You know, one of the things that you know, this may sound like a minor thing to some people, but, you know, there's been a major problem in the city lately with rats, and I'm not talking about the alderman of the 50th Ward either. You know, that's a different problem. You know, the fact is that on Devon Avenue, on Howard up here, I'm hearing from my friends that they're seeing more and more. My neighbor across the street, you know, is also seeing them in the alley. I mean, it's crazy.
It is, and it has exploded. I've talked about it for quite a while. What I do in my ward every year, almost every year I think I have, that I required the Streets and Sand to bait every alley. I mean, if you see a rat and then you call 311 and it gets baited over there, well, what about down the block? I mean, you have to be overall looking at this problem. And that's why I found different ways that we can look at this rat problem, including a sterilization approach that other cities have utilized, and in fact they've received grants from the National Health Institute to help fight their rat problems. And we have a Norwegian rat that just in a year I think it produces about 170 rats itself. Wow. Over various litters. So you know, it affects the quality of life. I was at a polling place in the November election on the north side visiting somebody else, and there was a rat running across the area there.
Wow. Now, when you talk about sterilization, that was really interesting. I was reading the article about it in the Sun-Times yesterday. Mm-hmm. So you actually leave things out that when the rat consumes will, you know, it's not like they're going to a vasectomy clinic.
Right, exactly. And it's proven to be very effective. New York has had it, and in their areas it's gone down by more than 50%. So, but we have to be aggressive on treating and not only the rat problem, but other problems here in this city. Our infrastructure is at risk if we're not careful. We've got to be making sure that we attend to things around the clock. And we can't turn our back one day and say, oh, we're going to come back to that problem, because it can pop up again. So we have to be aggressive here in this city. And we need the right kind of commissioners and the people that occupy cleaning up our city, making sure our streets are safe and our neighborhoods are strong.
No question about it. You know, one of the other subjects that comes up, and it just makes some of this TIF stuff really makes me nuts, especially the idea of spending, even though I like DePaul, spending $155 million of TIF money for a stadium when the city is in so much trouble is unbelievable to me.
Well, and in this last couple of weeks, I've really been going after the TIFs. TIFs could be a useful device for economic growth in a blighted area, but really, is the downtown area blighted? Is the South Loop any more blighted? Is the West Loop any more blighted? No. The answer we all know is no. So we need to find ways to get that money into our neighborhoods, to create areas in our neighborhoods that will help our neighborhoods. And about a third of the city has TIFs. And that money that should have gone when they freeze it, and TIF is a tax increment financing, and it's good for 23 years. And any increments above that go into a special slush fund, and that's all it has been. And it really deprives our schools, our parks, our neighborhoods of the right kind of money that should have been directed to them in the first place.
Yeah, the last I saw, I think there was something like $500 million sitting in slush funds.
Oh, it's even a lot more. About $500 million come in every year.
Wow.
So it's anywhere from 1.4, 1.7 billion, depending on what favored project do they have and they want to take the money for and use it.
And one of the things that bothers me also, I live about a mile from Evanston, Skokie, Lincolnwood. And I'm seeing boom construction just outside the city. You know, there's a new Mariano's going up there. They just built a new Walmart, a new Starbucks. The shopping centers are all outside. What can we do to bring business back into the city itself?
Well, I think we have to be very aggressive in terms of bringing business here. What I did for many a year in the second ward was to have tours. We brought developers and real estate people and brokers on bus tours. We need to do that throughout the whole of the city to target areas and say, hey, you know, you want to do something downtown, you got to do it in the neighborhood too. And I think that could be a way of doing that. I mean, we really need to look at tax incentives to help small businesses, not the large businesses, because we give them all corporate tax breaks anyway through the use of TIF funds or dropping their taxes. There are a variety of ways that we can help businesses across the board here.
Oh, that sounds good. When I see, you know, all the empty storefronts here that have remained empty for years now, you know, and this was a thriving, very thriving community at one time, business-wise.
And I see that really around the border of the whole of the city. A lot more vacant areas, whether you're down in Hegwish area, way down south, on 138th, you see a lot of vacant areas, 105th and Torrance, that whole area. Even down on 95th Street, approaching Evergreen Park. So we need to find ways that could help incentivize small businesses to come into these neighborhoods, stay in these neighborhoods, and be productive.
No, that would be terrific. I mean, we've got a very active, vibrant city that should be thriving.
Yeah, and you've given me a couple ideas right now that I want to explore all of a sudden that I was thinking about on tax incentives for the small businesses that I want to look at and see what we can do.
No, I think that would be absolutely terrific. And, you know, so, okay, now you're running. Are you out looking for speaking engagements? Do you go to events? I mean, are you knocking on doors? How do you meet people, greet people, that kind of thing?
Yes, yes, and yes. You hit it. We do have a lot of speaking engagements. In fact, probably at any given time during the course of a week, I'm probably close to 20 that are established. So that's about 4 a day. We do have small coffees that people invite us to into their homes, and they have a group of people. We have follow Fioretti on Fridays at various areas. And yes, we've been knocking on doors. I've been knocking on doors in virtually every community, every ward for sure. And it's been, you know, listening to the people of this city is great. I mean, it's really, you know, people invite you into their homes. Sometimes they want to sit down with you. They want you to break bread with them. And you listen to the everyday problems of what people have, which you and I are one of them. You know, and when you listen to people and what their concerns are, we have the solutions. Our people have the solutions. And it should never be from the top down, but we should listen to what the people have to offer and put it on the table and implement it, and we'll be a better, greater city for everybody.
You know, that sounds good. I mean, it's obvious the present administration basically listens to itself. You know, maybe singing in the shower. I don't know what it is.
And yes, exactly. Right. And I don't want to go into that singing in the shower, but yes.
No, there's certainly not. You know, it's right now people in the city are being dictated to. You know, there is no back and forth communication. It's, you know, I'll tell you a funny story. The present mayor's father had his medical practice at Devon and Lincoln, which was very close to here. I mean, that's not exactly the address. I never had him, but I have an aunt who's a very saintly lady, very religious lady. Over 40 years, she was the principal of a school here. Started with 7 girls and built it up to 800 by the time she retired. I never heard her say a bad word about anybody. She doesn't swear, nothing. And when she's living in New Jersey now, when she saw the newspaper that said Emanuel was elected mayor, she called me up and she said, how did that little stinker ever get to be mayor? Because she knew him when he was 7 and 8 years old. Right. She knew who he was.
Exactly. Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah, I mean, just the story. I mean, he was a bully when he was a little kid.
Well, you know, you see what happens in the city council where we have such a compliant city council. People that have told me, aldermen have told me, who represent their constituency, that they're afraid to say something. They're afraid to even question him in private on issues. You wonder, is this the type of aldermen that we want in a city council, that they can't come up with their own ideas, they can't question him about items, to say, hey, Mr. Mayor, you know, I've agreed with you on this, but you're wrong here. And something, you know, when you talk about a bullying, they're afraid of being bullied by him.
And you know what? If I ran a business like that, I'd run it into the ground and I'd be out of business in a big hurry.
And I think that's exactly what's happening here. We've kicked a lot of things down the road. A lot of our financial issues have all been kicked down the road by more bond issues. And bond issues can be good at times. But, you know, we have to understand that more times than not, we're kicking it down the road, our financial concerns. And we've got big financial issues facing this city, along with the crime rate it keeps going, along with our educational issues and our fiscal issues. All are on the table at the same time and have to be dealt with here in the city to make this city a global city that we are entitled to.
You know, one thing, we don't have a lot of time left, but one thing I want to touch real quick with you is there's a whole atmosphere of fear, not just with the aldermen. I've always been very pro-police, and I think the vast majority of the police force is terrific. Everybody's afraid to come on the show. Nobody wants to speak out in public. Nobody's allowed to if they're asked permission. I mean, there's a whole atmosphere of fear. I mean, I would hope that, you know, if you're elected, you're able to open up that process and, you know, let these people talk and be much more open with these things, because you have been as alderman. There's no question about it.
And I think it's always good to hear other ideas. I went to a forum last night in another ward. Actually, the alderman invited me at the last moment, and I was just at near his area, and I said, oh, okay. And I was just really amazed at how the questions that were asked on what to do on an elected school board, which I am in favor of, and I've been long in favor of. But they asked the right kind of questions on how it's going to be structured, how would it be funded, what kind of models are there. When we get an elected school board, we should be the model for the nation on how things are done. And but they asked a lot of great questions, and I think by listening to the people of the city, it doesn't matter, that could have happened on any part of the city on any issue. And by listening to them and having their ideas out there, we become a better city.
You know, that would be terrific. At this point, I'm sure you have a website people can go to?
Yes. Do you want me to tell it?
Oh, absolutely.
I know.
Let them know you can volunteer and all the rest of it and participate.
They can. It's bobfioretti.com, Fioretti. And we do have, we're looking for volunteers. My campaign's a lot different from all the other ones. It is truly a volunteer campaign. It's truly based upon the people. We don't have special interest money, and we don't have the big money of the corporate privatizing people that are out there all the time. And it's based upon a movement of people here in this city.
I want to thank you very much, Alderman Bob Fioretti, running for mayor. I hope you'll give him serious consideration. And good luck in the campaign.
As always, thank you.
Thank you.